What do little birdies see when they get knocked unconscious? Little, little birdies? All right, so this came up on the live stream here this past weekend as I record this anyway. It'd be a few weeks now by the time you guys see it, I imagine. But, I only answer to Robert. And, on my live streams, of course, you get somebody that decides that, they're either too lazy to type out 3 extra letters or whatever it may be. They just assume that I will answer to whatever they want to call me. And my response to those is usually something along the lines of "Who's Rob?" and then that's all I will say. That's the end of their whatever question they're asking me that they're going to get. I thought I would just clear the air about why I am so particular about only being addressed as Robert. When I was, I've always gone by Robert. Always. That's what's on my birth certificate. That's what's on my social security card. That's what's on my driver's license. That's what's on every single piece of legal documentation that has my name on it. And that's what I go by. And that's what I've always gone by. When I was 12 years old, we moved from Texas to Indiana. And for whatever, I had as you may or may not be able to imagine, I was not the most outgoing individual in the world. I had a huge chip on my shoulder and a real bad attitude. Part of that was because everybody at my new school started calling me Rob, and it drove me crazy. And, but more so than that, what drives me more crazy about it now, and has ever since, was that I didn't have the courage to stand up for myself and correct people. I was afraid if I did that that the other kids in school wouldn't like me. And so I lived with it. And I hated it, every minute of it, all the way up through high school. And finally, years later, I finally, learned that, it's okay to correct people. And, because because I forced myself to live with it for so long, I refuse to let anybody take that kind of control over me or any part of my lifestyle. I have corrected high paying potential clients at work for calling me anything other than Robert. People talking about spending $15,000-$20,000 worth of, which that's a lot of gear, by the way. Big accounts. I won't even suck it up for them. And the truth is nobody should feel that way. In that business instance that I just mentioned, how can I possibly expect to build an actual, an honest, working business relationship with this individual if I'm already being dishonest with him from the get-go, about how I prefer to be addressed. There's nothing wrong with that. There was somebody on, somebody that was in the chat on the live stream here this past weekend, named Michael. And I've already, I can't remember if he had his last name posted as part of a screen name or if it was, regardless, his name is Michael. And he's the exact same way. He doesn't answer, he doesn't like answering to Mike or Mikey or anything like that. For him, it's Michael, period, end of story. And, he and I both agree that whenever I'm meeting somebody new for the first time and they have a name that's often abbreviated or shortened in some manner, I always ask how they prefer to be addressed. I worked with a guy who's still a good friend of mine today at a previous company named Jonathan, and it was so natural to me because I prior to that, with the exception of of one family member, I can't recall anybody and that I've ever known in my life that didn't go by John. But this particular individual prefers Jonathan. That's what he's always answered to. So I've always it took me a while to get used to it, but I was always real conscious about addressing him as Jonathan because that's what he prefers. In my opinion, that's the respectful thing to do. So I'm real conscious about not shortening people's names in ways that they are not asking me to shorten them in. You know, my dad's name is David, and he often prefers, you know, often introduces himself as Dave. But you know, among his family members, to me, of course, he's Dad, but to his brother and sister-in-law and his parents and his wife, he's always been David. So just it kind of depends on who it is. So with my dad, it doesn't bother him that much, but with me, it's with me, it kind of brings back a a rough childhood memory. One of those things I really really wish that I had the courage to stand up for myself. More confidence in myself, I guess would be a better way to put it. When I was growing up, that's the reason why. So if you are going to shorten my name, and by the way, if you do it intentionally because it irritates me, I'm gonna block. I block people immediately. I just did it to somebody last week. A loyal viewer who was pissed off about a video title of all things, and he threw that out there just because he knew it would irritate me, but I knew that's what he was doing. I allowed myself to be pushed around when I was a kid. I'm not going to allow it now. So that's, I recognize I may be overreacting to it. I may be, it may seem a little ridiculous to a lot of you, and that's fine. But that's how I feel, and it is personal to me. So if you hear me, or you see me in the comment section somewhere, responding to somebody with who's Rob, or who's Bob, or who's any of that crap, that's why. If for anybody that addresses me as anything other than Robert, which by the way is the very first word in the name of this YouTube channel. So why there'd be further confusion there, I have no idea. But apparently that's the way it is. So I can't change people, but I can absolutely correct them because I feel it's the right thing to do. So yeah, and everybody's just going to get along a lot better if everybody is addressing each other respectfully from the get-go. So also, as I record this, as a side note, it was announced today, unfortunately, Children of Bodom main man, lead guitar player, frontman, Alexi Laiho, unfortunately passed today. So it's sad news, and the very very first part of 2021 for the music world. Unfortunately, Alexi was a very very extremely talented guitar player. Whether you like his music or his genre of music or not, you can't deny the fact the boy could shred, and and he had a lot of fans all over the world, and was very very well respected. And he was 41. He's 2 years younger than me, which is really, really scary and really, really sad. So rest in peace, Alexi. We'll see you on the other side.